What's up, college football fans? What's up, Clemson Tiger fans? Happy Thursday to everybody. I wanted to make a short video today talking a little bit about Garrett Riley's press conference from yesterday from National Signing Day, which I don't know who needs to hear this, but February 1st or the first week of February or whatever it is every year is not National Signing Day. It used to be National Signing Day. Now, National Signing Day occurs in December. I think everybody knows that. I call what happens in February leftovers day. Kind of like after Thanksgiving, you make too much food, you got some leftovers in the fridge. And maybe, look, I'm just kidding. I don't mean to be disrespectful to the young men, the athletes who wait till February to decide. It's a big time life decision. I'm just saying, for instance, when I was a kid, when I was a teenager, when I was even in my early 20s, National Signing Day, that was a day that you circled on the calendar, right? It was a big deal. People would take off work. Some parents would even let their kids stay home from school that day if there was school, just so they could see who their favorite team was going to sign. Now, most teams, including Clemson, had already signed their entire 2023 class prior to yesterday. A couple teams went out there and got some really good players. South Carolina, for instance, got a 5-star athlete yesterday that chose between South Carolina and Oregon, and he ended up going to the Gamecocks. And I think this is definitely the best recruiting class that the Gamecocks have had since Steve Spurrier's been there. I'm not sure. It might be the highest ranking recruiting classes they've ever had. I don't really know. But that is what I heard. So congratulations to them on that. Anyway, Garrett Riley and Dabo Swinney finally got together for their first official presser together yesterday in Clemson's new media center room, whatever it's called. I don't know, media center. And the reason we haven't seen Garrett Riley and Dabo Swinney together in a press conference, I mean, hell, he's hired 3 weeks ago or whatever, is because as soon as Garrett Riley was hired, they hit the recruiting trail. They've been on the road for the past couple of weeks. They haven't been in Clemson. Well, they've been going back and forth between Clemson and on the recruiting trail. But anyway, I guess they just haven't had time to sit down and do an official press conference. So everybody's kind of just sitting around waiting to hear what Garrett Riley has to say about this offense. And I got to tell you, look, I know everybody that's in any fan of any team who's in a similar situation to what Clemson's going through right now. And there's other teams around the country that are going through this right now too, namely Alabama. But everybody's always excited, right? And look, I was excited immediately when I found out who the new offensive coordinator was going to be. And one of the reasons I was excited is because that's the guy that I wanted. I didn't think for a million years that it would actually happen. I thought it was a pipe dream. Well, first of all, I didn't think that Dabo Swinney was going to fire Brandon Streeter after 1 year as offensive coordinator. And then on top of that, I didn't think he would go out and get somebody like Garrett Riley. I just didn't. So when I heard Garrett Riley was hired as the offensive coordinator, it blew my mind. So I'm already excited from the jump. Before Garrett Riley even says one word about what the offense is going to look like in Clemson, I'm already excited. But then yesterday, he put a rubber stamp on it and said all of the things that people like me and fans like you have been clamoring to hear, yearning for it for the past at least 2 seasons. First under Tony Elliott, then under Brandon Streeter. Now, it's one thing to talk. That's great. Because we heard Brandon Streeter talk last year too. Said a lot of the same things, honestly. We're going to play fast. We're going to play violent. We're going to move the ball around. We're going to get the tight ends involved, blah, 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 blah. Streeter said almost a lot of the same stuff. But I believe Garrett Riley more than I believe Streeter. You know, and I'm not so much of a blind homer that I'm just going to fawn and gush over anybody that Dabo Swinney hires. And you want to know how I know that? Because a year ago, right here on this YouTube channel, when Brandon Streeter was named the offensive coordinator, your boy here wasn't too happy about it. And I pissed a lot of people off too, which isn't hard on YouTube. But I didn't like the hire. I thought that Dabo Swinney missed a prime opportunity with the clout and the name recognition that Clemson has built over the past 10 or 12 years, thanks to Dabo Swinney. They could have gone out and got somebody and pretty much hand-picked, cherry-picked the guy that was right for the job. A different philosophy outside of what we had seen that had become stale over the previous few seasons. And he didn't do that. And I thought it was a missed opportunity. Of course, Pete, I didn't know you coached college football, Pete. What the hell do you know, Pete? Did you even play college football, Pete? No, but guess what? I was right. So there is that. But anyway, Garrett Riley's offense, he describes it as, how does he describe it? Fast and violent, I think is the way that he described it. I like the violent part. I also like the fast part. But I think there's a misconception about who Garrett Riley is as a play caller and as a play designer. And again, I'm not any expert on X's and O's. Clearly, I didn't even play college football. What the hell do I know? But I think there's a misconception because of where Garrett Riley comes from. And where does Garrett Riley come from? Well, first of all, he's a Riley. Brother is Lincoln Riley. Second of all, he was a quarterback at Texas Tech. And who was his head coach? That's right, you guessed it. The late and the great and the one and the only Mike Leach. The father of the air raid is what they call Mike Leach. And there are some air raid type of aspects to a Garrett Riley style of offense. They love to throw the ball around. Garrett Riley's offenses love to throw the ball around. And there's nothing wrong with that. But this isn't a Mike Leach offense. I think that people need to realize that. Well, you can even just look at TCU last year and you can tell that. But this is even going to be a little bit different than TCU because the personnel is different. No disrespect to TCU. Clemson's just more talented. On paper, anyway. But you're not going to see them throw the ball 70 times and run the ball 5 times like Mike Leach did. You're not going to see that. I think he even described it as an air raid that runs the ball. What does that mean? Yeah, it's an air raid system, but we run the ball. No, this is going to be a run-first offense. And look, if you go back over the past 10 years, at some of the best offenses in the country, especially at Clemson, during their playoff run there and national championship runs, they were a run-first football team. And people didn't even realize that because you had Deshaun Watson at quarterback, you had Trevor Lawrence. You had the list of wide receivers that came out of Clemson over those years is ridiculous. Just look at the NFL right now. It's ridiculous. So people associated that offense as if it was mainly a passing offense. It wasn't. It wasn't. It was a run-first football team, and we got away from that. Well, I say we. Brandon Streeter got away from that. So I'm looking forward to getting back to be a balanced team and throw some wrinkles in there. This is great news if you're a Clemson Tiger. This is great news if you're Cade Klubnik. This is great news if you're Will Shipley. This is great news if you're Antonio Williams or Adam Randall. And I'm just naming a few of these offensive players. I'm not going to go down the entire roster and name out every single player. But you get the idea. And I think, well, I don't think, I know. I'm going to go ahead and put myself out there like that. I know that what we're going to see on this Clemson offense in 2023 is going to be completely different than anything we've seen over the past 2 years. Anything. And I'm looking forward to it. I'm here for it. Coach Riley, I'm your biggest fan until you give me a reason not to be. Go Tigers.